Good morning, everybody. So, today's topic is about adrenergic drugs or sympathomimetics. These drugs are usually adrenergic agonists, which are also called adrenergic drugs or sympathomimetics. These drugs, which cause activation of alpha and or beta adrenoreceptors either by direct action on the receptors or indirectly by release of catecholamines or both mixed acting. Means these are the drugs which cause activation of alpha and or beta receptors separately, either by direct action on receptors or indirectly by release of catecholamines or both, or may act on both, mixed acting, and produce effects similar to those produced by stimulation of sympathetic system. The natural transmitters of adrenergic system, as you know well, are noradrenaline, adrenaline and dopamine. These are catecholamines. Catecholamines are a compound with a catechol nucleus and amine containing side chain. The synthetic adrenoreceptor agonists are all non-catecholamines. Means there are two types of sympathetic receptor agonists. One is catecholamines, which includes noradrenaline, adrenaline and dopamine, and the other group is synthetic adrenoreceptor agonists, which are all non-catecholamines except one drug, that is isoprenaline. Isoprenaline is a catecholamine, but that is not natural, that is synthetic. So, all synthetic adrenoreceptors agonists are non-catecholamines except isoprenaline, which is a catecholamine, but it is not a natural product, it is a synthetic product. So, we can sum up. The catecholamines are noradrenaline, adrenaline, dopamine and isoprenaline. Whereas non-catecholamines includes many drugs like tyramine, ephedrine, amphetamine, phenylephrine, salbutamol, etc. Now we can classify these drugs on their therapeutic action or therapeutic basis of classification. There are many groups and you can learn it from your textbook. Precisely, we have compiled here, which you can see in your book. First is pressure agents. Pressure agents include noradrenaline, ephedrine, dopamine, phenylephrine, methoxamine and methamphetamine. These are included in pressure agents. Then the next group is cardiac stimulants. Adrenaline, dopamine and isoprenaline are the drugs which are included in this cardiac stimulant group. The third group is bronchodilators, and in this group we have isoprenaline, salbutamol, terbutaline, salmeterol, formoterol and benbuterol. You consult your textbook and you can see all these classifications and note down. Then the other group is nasal decongestants. In this group, the drugs are phenylephrine, nafazoline, xylometazoline, oxymetazoline, pseudoephedrine and phenylpropanololamine. Then The next group is CNS stimulants, and in this group the drugs are amphetamine, methamphetamine and dexamphetamine. These are CNS stimulants. Then anorectics. Anorectics means which lowers the appetite. Anorectics. In this group, phenpluramine, dexphenpluramine and sibutramine. Then the next group is uterine relaxant and vasodilators. These are ritrotrine, isoxaprine, salbutamol and terbutamol. So, on the basis of their therapeutic actions, sympathomimetics have been classified in various groups, and we have learned here about these, and you can see these drugs and classification in your textbook and remember. Now we come to catecholamines. First and foremost among this is adrenaline, or which is also called epinephrine, adrenaline or epinephrine. You know it is secreted by adrenal medulla. Adrenal medulla secretes about 80 to 90% adrenaline and 10 to 20% noradrenaline. And it is also present in the chromaffin cells and nervous tissue. Adrenaline is present in chromaffin cells and the nervous tissue. Naturally occurring adrenaline is optically active, and the levo form, which is used clinically, is more potent than the dextro form. This is optically active, and there are two forms, levo form and dextro form. Clinically we use levo form, which is more active. It is easily oxidizable, and if kept exposed to air and light, it is converted to a colored, inactive and toxic substance, adrenochrome. So it is stored in a umber-colored, yellowish. Umber-colored means yellowish, umber-colored bottle or ampoule with a reducing agent like sodium bisulfite or ascorbic acid. This is to preserve the adrenaline in its levo form so that it is active. Now we come to the pharmacological action of adrenaline. Adrenaline acts on both alpha and beta receptors, and the effects produced depend upon the type of adrenoreceptor present and their relative activity on the different organs. Now, system-wise we come to first is cardiovascular system. On heart mainly beta-1 receptors are present, although beta-2 and alpha-1 receptors are also present, but beta-2 receptors are predominantly present. So the effects are increase in force of contraction, that is positive inotropic action, increase in heart rate, positive chromotropic action, increase in conduction velocity, positive chromotropic action, increase in cardiac output, and increase in oxygen consumption by myocardium, increase in excitability and incidence of cardiac arrhythmia. So all parameters are increasing. Cardiac output is increasing, excitability is increasing, heart rate increases, force of contraction increases. So all are stimulatory effect, and it is all mediated through beta-1 receptor, which is predominantly present on heart. Now on blood vessels and blood pressure. Blood vessels of skin and mucous membrane contain alpha-1 receptor predominantly. Skin and mucous membrane, the vasculature contains alpha-1 receptors predominantly, hence these are constricted by adrenaline. So there is vasoconstriction. It also constricts renal, mesenteric, pulmonary and splanchnic vessels. Everywhere there is vasoconstriction, but it dilates skeletal and coronary vessels, which is mediated through beta-2 receptors. Beta-2 receptors are predominant in the skeletal muscles and coronary vessels. So here there is vasodilatation. Adrenaline dilates skeletal and coronary vessels, and this action is through beta-2 receptors. It contracts the spleen capsule, so there is more pouring of RBC, which is needed during stress and fight or flight. So it contracts the splenic capsule, and this action is mediated through alpha receptor. Then, effect of adrenaline on blood pressure. Intravenous injection of adrenaline in moderate dosage cause rise in blood pressure due to its alpha-1 response on the blood vessels, and later on there is fall in blood pressure due to beta-2 receptor response, that is vasodilatation in the skeletal muscles vessel. So initially there will be rise in blood pressure due to its response on alpha-1 receptor. Later on there will be fall in blood pressure due to its action on beta-2 receptor, which causes vasodilatation of the skeletal vessels. So it shows biphasic response. Means initially the blood pressure will go up, and due to its action on alpha-1, which causes vasoconstriction, and later on it will go down due to its action on beta-2, which causes vasodilatation in skeletal muscles. Now, there is an important thing to learn here. It is very famous, and many times it comes in your examination, written examination or viva. Vasomotor reversal of Day. Mr. Henry Day, he first observed about this, so it is called vasomotor reversal of Day. You know, we have learned that adrenaline acts on both alpha-1 and beta-2 receptors, and alpha-1 receptors causes vasoconstriction, whereas beta-2 receptor, the response on the beta-2 receptors causes vasodilatation. Alpha-1 receptors are strong. They are strong receptors, whereas beta-2 receptors are sensitive. There are two different things. Alpha-1 is a strong receptor, but beta-2 is a very sensitive receptor. Means beta-2 can be stimulated with very few molecules of the adrenaline, whereas alpha-1, which is a strong receptor, has to be stimulated with will require many molecules of adrenaline. So you should remember that alpha-1 receptors are strong, whereas beta-2 receptors are sensitive. So when we give large intravenous infusion of adrenaline, it causes vasoconstriction, because we are giving in a large dose, huge amount. It causes vasoconstriction, which increases blood pressure via its action on alpha-1 receptor. But after a while, there is reuptake and dissipation of adrenaline. So the molecules are now lessened. The adrenaline molecules, when we are given the large dose, there were many molecules, but after some time there is dissipation and reuptake of these molecules, so the concentration of adrenaline decreases, which is not enough to stimulate the alpha-1 receptor. Since alpha-1 receptors are strong, they require more number of molecules of adrenaline to be stimulated. But after some time, there is dissipation of adrenaline, concentration is lessened, and it is not enough to stimulate alpha-1 receptor, but it is enough to stimulate the beta-2, which is sensitive. Although it is not very strong, but it is very sensitive. Only few molecules of adrenaline can stimulate the beta-2 receptors, because beta-2 receptors are very sensitive. Hence, there is secondary fall in blood pressure. Initially, there was rise in the blood pressure due to stimulation of alpha-1 receptor. Now, there is secondary fall in the blood pressure. So, what happens if we block only the alpha receptor? If we block the alpha receptor, what will happen? There will be fall in blood pressure due to sensitive beta-2 receptor mediated vasodilatation. Since alpha-1 is blocked, so only there will be fall. This is known as vasomotor reversal of Day, which was first demonstrated by the scientist Henry Day. So if we block only the alpha receptor, there will be fall and fall. There will not be rise if we give adrenaline. And this is called vasomotor reversal of Day. Now, we come to the pharmacological action of adrenaline on other systems like respiratory system. The blood vessels of mucous membrane of the upper respiratory tract, like nasal and bronchial mucosa, are constricted. The blood vessels of mucous membrane of the upper respiratory tract, like nasal and bronchial mucosa, are constricted, and this vasoconstriction is due to its effect on alpha-1 effect, and hence these are decongested by adrenaline. We use it as nasal decongestant. Adrenaline rapidly relaxes bronchial smooth muscles, and this action is due to its effect on beta-2 receptor. So, it is a potent bronchodilator. Adrenaline is a potent bronchodilator. But the duration of action of adrenaline is very short duration. It is a potent bronchodilator by its effect on beta-2 receptors. It inhibits the release of inflammatory mediators from mast cells. It inhibits the release of inflammatory mediators from the mast cell, and this action is due to its effect on beta-2 receptors. Now, we should learn about the effect of adrenaline on eye. Mydriasis occurs. Mydriasis means dilatation of pupils. Mydriasis occurs due to contraction of radial muscles of iris. Due to contraction of radial muscles of iris. Alpha-1 effect. But there is minimal, but this is minimal on topical application. The effect is minimal, not much, because adrenaline penetrates cornea poorly. It does not penetrate the cornea properly, it penetrates the cornea poorly. So it does not reach the iris where it has to act on the alpha-1 receptor of the iris. And the effect is mydriasis. Mydriasis. You should remember it is mydriasis. Pupillary dilatation. Aqueous humor production is reduced, and there is increase in outflow of aqueous humor. And this effect is also due to effect on alpha receptor. The intraocular pressure tends to fall, especially in wide angle glaucoma. Wide and angle glaucoma cases, the intraocular pressure tends to fall. This is all about the effect, in short, its effect of adrenaline on eye. Now, effect on gastrointestinal tract. Effect of adrenaline on gastrointestinal tract. Adrenaline relaxes the smooth muscles of gut. It relaxes the smooth muscles of the gut, and this is due to this alpha 2 and beta 2. Alpha 2 and beta 2. अभी तक हम लोग अल्फा 1 रिसेप्टर का इफेक्ट देख रहे थे. इसका अल्फा 2 रिसेप्टर्स पे जो इफेक्ट है GIT पे और बीटा 2 पे, उसके वजह से गट वाल का रिलैक्सेशन हो जाता है. इट रिड्यूसेस द इंटेस्टाइनल टोन एंड पेरिस्टाल्सिस, बट द इफेक्ट आर ट्रांजिएंट. These effects are transient. On urinary bladder, adrenaline relaxes the detrusor muscle by its effect on beta 2 receptor and contracts the trigone. As a result, it may cause difficulty in milk-releasing. We can postulate to know that adrenaline is a neurotransmitter which is released during stress, and in a stressful situation, the bladder has to remain relaxed and the sphincters has to be closed because the person is under stress of fight or flight or fright. So this neurotransmitter adrenaline is associated with stress, and you can very well reduce it yourself. Now, other actions of adrenaline are its effect on uterus. Uterine muscles in non-pregnant uterus will contract. Non-pregnant uterus, the uterine muscles are contracted due to its effect on alpha 1. Alpha 1 effect is greater than beta 2 effect. But in pregnant uterus, the uterine muscles are relaxed. Here, the beta 2 effect leads. It is more than the alpha 1 effect. So, non-pregnant uterus, the uterus is contracted due to its effect on alpha 1. But in pregnant uterus, beta 2 receptors are predominant and uterine muscles are relaxed. Ejaculation occurs in male. Ejaculation occurs in male, and